Good evening, everybody out there, and welcome to Anything Liverpool. We are tonight joined with Jackson, Ben, and Craig, and we are going to talk a little bit about what's happened the last week, today's press conference, and the game tomorrow, where we have score predictions and expected 11s, and so forth and so forth. If you're new to our content, please give us a like and subscribe, and have your notification turned on so you can get notifications for future streams and videos, so you never miss anything out. I'm going to start with a little how do you do, people. Jackson, you doing all right tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm pretty new to this channel, and I'm very excited to be involved. I might sound like I'll support a team like Fulham, but I've been supporting Liverpool for the best part of 23 years, so
Fulham before that, then?
Sorry?
Fulham before that?
No, before that I was into Sharks.
All right. Welcome to you, Ben, as well. Good to have you back on the show. Are you all right tonight?
Yep. Actually excited to watch Liverpool. I didn't think I'd say that. But here we are.
Okay. We need to get your head checked, but that's okay. My brother from another mother, Craig, you doing all right tonight?
I am, mate. Yeah, it's nice to see you again. Long time no speak, as we say. The Premier League is back, and we've not got an international break for quite a while, so we can get our teeth into it and see how it all unfolds. I'm quite looking forward to seeing how things pan out for everybody tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting weekend. Can't wait.
Yeah, I think we're just going to dive in today. As Craig mentioned, we've had an international break, and a lot of people are happy about certain teams or certain nations doing well. I wasn't all that excited with a new international break, like I was the last time, and that worry kind of got confirmed today when Slot had his press conference, and two guys are out injured, and that's Bradley and Wirtz. And now Wirtz probably not long time, but we kind of have a squad rotation when it comes to injuries. I mean, it's not the place where we should have a squad rotation, and Bradley is now out for 3 or 4 weeks again, I think it is. So, I mean, I'm going to start with tonight's first question, because one of our big hosts, Steven, is a big fan of availability. And Conor Bradley is starting to not be the poster boy for availability. We all know what he can do because we saw it in the Real Madrid game, for instance. But I'll start with you, Jackson. Do you think Bradley is a player we can count on in the future? Do you think he can get to the point where he can be a solid contributor on the right back, or is it too injury prone?
Seeing these early injuries, he's only 22 years old, I believe. It's not quite a red flag yet, but it is a concern for sure. But I mean, you touched on it there, Harold. His playing ability, I have no doubts about whatsoever. I think it's very easy to compare him to Trent Alexander-Arnold because naturally he is replacing Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. But I think we need to stop doing that basically because Trent is a generational talent. Conor Bradley, I'm not sure he'll ever be a generational talent, but he can still be a very good servant to Liverpool in the long term. You think like people like Jamie Carragher, I don't think he was ever a world-class footballer, but he was a very good servant for Liverpool, second highest appearance maker in the club's history. And you also touched on it with his performance against Real Madrid. He does have a top performance in his repertoire. Conor Bradley, Real Madrid. I sometimes watch a couple of Northern Ireland games, and in those games, he knows he's the main man, and he really sticks his chest out in those games. So I think if we put him on a bit more of a pedestal and also just get away from the comparisons with Trent Alexander-Arnold because he's a different player to Trent, then we'll see Conor Bradley really, I guess, grow into the role of being a player for Liverpool Football Club, which is obviously a massive role. Perhaps there's still an element of him maybe he's not feeling like he's earned his spot in the team, even though he has had several good performances. But of course, going back to your original points on the injury front, it is a bit of a concern. But I think the performances he's put in so far for Liverpool mean that we should for sure persist with him.
But you mentioned Carragher. I mean, Carragher was hardly injured. I mean, he was maybe not at the level as maybe Bradley can be, but if you're out a month here and a month there, it will hinder your growth. It will hinder your progress. I mean, you have to start over and over again.
Yes,
I see that as a big concern, or am I just,
I think we're maybe one or two more injuries away before we can, I suppose, seriously have that conversation. I don't think we're quite there yet, but it's kind of in the back of my mind. Oh, there are a couple of early injuries for Conor Bradley. That's not ideal, but I'm not writing them off at this point. That's what I'm saying.
That's okay. Ben, what are your thoughts about this? I mean, do you feel the same like Jackson do, or do you are more concerned like I am?
Well, you said he's not becoming he's not like the poster boy for availability. He never was. He's always had muscle problems and other injury problems ever since he made his debut. But which is annoying because he's a great player when he wants to be, like you saw against Madrid. He locked up Vinny and Mbappe in 2 years, and he did well against Doku. The result might not say that, but he did well, and then he gets injured. And I saw a thing on Twitter the other day. He always gets into a moment, into a good run of form and a good moment for himself, and then he gets injured and set back, which isn't ideal. It's not ideal for the Liverpool either because, obviously, as you'll know, Frimpong is also injured at the minute.
And one thing is being injured, Craig. I'll post it on to you, because one thing is being injured, but one thing is being injured when you're supposed to be developing yourself, and that development is halted at often injury breaks, not necessarily a year here and a year there, but it has to be an issue some way down the road. Or do you also believe, like Jackson, that it's too early to say?
I think what with Conor Bradley, what it reminds me of, this reminds me a lot of Steven Gerrard when he came through. Conor Bradley's still growing. He's having these growth spurts. So I think this is contributing to his injuries as well, as it did with Stevie G. Once he stopped developing and growing, so he's reached his maximum height, then I think that these little niggles which he keeps picking up, they'll cease and they won't be an issue. And I think he'll end up being a stalwart at right back. To be honest, I think Jeremy Frimpong's a bigger issue at right back than what Conor Bradley is, because he relies on his speed for sure, and he's out with an hamstring injury. He trained on his own today, so he's not match fit. But the thing is, when your hamstrings go, you got, and if they keep going, you're going to lose a yard of pace. I mean, I can see Frimpong having the same issues as a certain ex-Liverpool player did, and he was finished by the time he was 26. And I liked him, and I thought he was class, but he gets vilified because he played for Man United. But Michael Owen was world class until he left Liverpool. But look, he was burnt out at 26, and I can see the same thing happening with Frimpong. Hopefully, I'm wrong. I'd like to be wrong, but when you've got pace like he's got and your hamstrings go, it is a bit of a concern. But I mean, injuries. I mean, we've picked another two up today, like you mentioned them when we came live on stream. Now, apparently, Mr. Viets, he's not going to miss the entire 7 games. I don't think he's going to be out for a maximum of probably 3 to 4. Whereas Conor Bradley, he won't play a game now for 7 weeks. So, the thing is, we have got a bit of an issue here, and I don't think the strength, the squad depth is good enough, to be honest with you. And I was going to touch on it later on. Depends what questions you ask, but I think depth-wise, I think Arne Slot's dug himself a hole here, and he can't get out of it because he said last season, if you remember, he said he wanted a smaller squad. He didn't want a squad of 25. Well, look what's happening now. You know, Alisson's back. That's good. But heaven forbid we pick any injuries up tomorrow. You know, it's one of them. To me, it's like every game we play now is a toss of a coin.
But I think when Slot said about he doesn't want a squad of 25, I felt like that was ignorance or not knowing the amount of rotation you have to compete in so many competitions in England compared to Netherlands. I think he didn't. He should have had more knowledge, but I felt that he misjudged the intensity of the Premier League and the FA Cup and the League Cup and the Champions League and the toll that takes on the players.
I agree, because you can look at it. You can look at it from another angle. I watched something yesterday. You probably saw it as well. Sky Sports were asking the question: should Liverpool have signed Alexander Isak and Etitika? But if you're going to go for a league title and go the full distance, and you're going to go deep into the Champions League, you're looking at 60 plus games there. Now, you're not telling me that Isak's going to play 60 plus games. You're going to need two strikers you can rotate. That's why they signed them both. Now, how he rotates them is anybody's guess. I can't. I've not worked it out yet. I can't figure it out. I don't think Isak will play tomorrow because I've said all along he's not fit, and I don't think he'll be fit for 6 months. But I might be wrong. But you know, Ernie Slot sees him in training every day. I don't. But that you know, so we've got issues from back to front. If you look at it injury wise, we've got problems in midfield. McAllister. We've got problems up front. Isak. We've got players who are not playing as well as they can do, who are out of form. But you can say you've got 7 or 8 players who are out of form there. At some point, it's all going to fall into place. When that will be, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm hoping it starts tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
It must start tomorrow, but we'll get on to that later on. Back to you, Jackson. When it comes to injuries, not speaking specifically about Conor Bradley, but we have had some issues so far this season. We had, especially on the right back, we've been like a revolving door and who's been playing there. Isak, as we know, hasn't been fit. McAllister hasn't been fit. There's a little bit here and a little bit there. And do you see this as maybe one of the big reasons, or one of the reasons why we're struggling as we do, that they're not at the same place at the same time, as a team? Do you think the injuries can be a big reason that we have problems so far?
Yeah, it's undoubtedly one of the reasons. I think there are numerous reasons as to why it's been a bad season so far. It's lots of new signings, and quite a few of them have come from outside the league. So I'm thinking of Florian Wirtz in particular. He's just not got to grips with the Premier League yet, playing well in the Champions League, so I'm confident he will be a good player for us. But in terms of injuries costing us over the course of the season, I think it's only a key factor if they're long-term injuries and in certain positions. I think if we get an injury to Virgil van Dijk, like when he did his ACL when we were last defending a title, that really, really hurt us. And also if Ryan Gravenberch gets injured, I was going to touch on this a bit later, but I think if Gravenberch gets a long-term injury, then we've got real problems, because Arne Slot, you talked about the squad depth, Craig. Arne Slot clearly does not rate Wataru Endo. I'm not sure I rate him particularly either.
No.
He gives Endo no minutes. We had him. We needed him after we missed out on Moises Caicedo, and he served a purpose. But I think if we didn't play a preseason match in Japan, Endo would have gone, because doing that would have left a real sour taste amongst our fans in Japan. But yeah, anyway, I think if we get long-term injuries to Van Dijk and Gravenberch, then yeah, we've got real problems. But it's, as I said, I think it's just a number of factors. I don't want to sort of be seen to be playing the card, but I think lots of the players are struggling with the passing of Diogo Jota. You saw Andy Robertson in his interview after the Scotland game. Also, it's not just the players who knew him well, but it's the players who came in this summer. They've come into an environment where a team and staff are mourning the loss of one of their colleagues, and that's awkward for them as well, just to come into that kind of atmosphere. So it's a combination of reasons, but for sure the injuries will not help.
But when I talk about injuries, I'm not going all Stoke Arsenal on this and blame everything on injuries, because but when the team is struggling and trying to find the rhythm, it's harder to find the rhythm. One thing is if you have the rhythm and you have to replace one or two sometimes, but when you don't have the rhythm, you're looking for the rhythm, and all the time you have to change 1, 2, 3 players. That doesn't help, in my opinion. Ben, what are your thoughts about it? Do you see it as one of the concerns for the season that we've had so far and going forward, or is it minor to a lot of the other issues we have?
I think it's minor, to be honest, because it's not like they're picking up, like Jackson said, they're not long-term injuries, and that would be a problem, because if multiple players start going down with 6+ week injuries, that'll build up, because it's what we saw in 2021, as Jackson also said. When one player goes down, a key player like Van Dijk, who played so many minutes, once other players have to start absorbing those minutes, they'll start picking up injuries because they're not used to that load.
But this is the first time we've lost 7 players and trying to fit 6 players. And when you're trying to fit 6 players, and we'll talk about the Jota thing later, but when you're trying to fit 6 players to find the rhythm and find a team spirit and a way to play together, it doesn't help when 2 of them are out this week, and next week those 2 are out, and then the next week those 2 are out. That doesn't help the rhythm. That's kind of my point. Not that they're long-term or key players, but Allison is a key player. He's been out a few weeks, and if you're missing, if you have to adapt to new components every game, that is an issue when you don't have the collaboration with the other 9 players you're playing with.
Yeah, that is definitely. That is a problem. It was also a problem in 2021 because, like you said, we constantly had to adapt to a new centre-back partnership until like March when we found Nat Phillips and Reece Williams, and you saw what happened in that season. It won't happen again, hopefully. But it's always a problem to consider.
But we kind of are in that situation. I mean, our best midfielder so far, in my opinion, Szoboszlai, is playing right back. You know,
Yeah.
When you weaken, when you have one part of the team who's have injuries, and then you weaken another part of the team because you have to play them in another role, then you have 2 weakened parts of the team instead of 1.
I partly blame Sobo playing right back on Slot because he's got a perfectly good right back available in Calvin Ramsey, but just seems to not want to acknowledge him whatsoever. In the press conference, he said 5 senior fit defenders. Not once did he mention, and I don't think he mentioned Ramsey's name once. So it's on Slot to utilise what he's got, but he doesn't want to.
That's a fair point, but I also think as well, while we're on the subject of injuries, and I think this is a genuine concern for me. I think we're one serious injury away at centre back from derailing our season. If Virgil van Dijk gets injured, we're done. You can write the season off because regardless of it doesn't matter about his age. Yeah, he's slowing down a little bit, but if he gets a serious injury, we haven't got anybody who can come in and cover for sure. We've got, I mean, Arnie Slot's come out and said in his press conference today, we've got 3 centre halves and we've got Gravenberch and Endo. So you're going to play Endo at centre half. The midget, really? What, are you going to give him a step ladder besides?
He's going to play next to Robbo at centre.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, obviously we'll discuss other things further on, but that my biggest fear is if Virgil gets injured, because baby Virgil's out for a full season, young Leone, and we all know how good he is because he had one stellar game and the rest is history, as they say. But yeah, it's but the same happens for every club. Injuries are part and parcel of football, and we've just got to roll with the punches. But hopefully this will stop soon. They might as well hang an A&E sign outside Anfield, I think, where things are going at the minute. But it's not good.
But that is what kind of baffles me, and Ben mentioned it, and that is, I mean, every manager is this way. I feel they are, but the way you kind of and like Craig said, I'm not on the training ground every day. I don't see the players, but the way Slot kind of ignores Endo, he ignores Chiesa. They are like,
yeah.
How can you do that when? I mean, one thing.
Can either of them play right back?
But the point is, I mean, you say you want you don't want 25 players, and then you have players that are injured. You have to rotate everything, and I mean, I like Craig said, I would think he would play Endo and Robertson as centre backs instead of Chiesa getting 2 minutes anywhere. I mean,
you've got Cinderella, haven't you? We've got Cinderella, Joe Gomez, and then you've got No Pass Jones who can play it right back as well. You know,
but the point is, why are certain players? And I'll start with you, Ben, because you kind of mentioned it. Why, Ben, do you think it is that certain players are not an issue or not in their mind at all when it comes to team selection or playing time or whatever?
Well, with Chiesa, I've said it multiple times. Slot didn't want him. It was clear. It was a buy to appease people and there was a market opportunity because obviously he was once a very good player, so you could get him 25% of what he used to be for 10 million. Well, you don't say no to that. But Slot never wanted him.
Totally agree.
But Klopp didn't want Salah either in the beginning. I mean, one thing, if you don't want the player, I can understand that. But if he gets in anyway and he does try his best, and I mean, we have seen what he can do when he gets the chance. So, I mean, I don't understand why you can't, accept the situation. The player's here. Why not play, Jackson?
Yeah, in the case of Federico Chiesa, in his career, he has had one, possibly two big injuries. So I think with him, you have to manage his minutes. So I think, in a way, I'm sure Chiesa wouldn't see it this way, but Arne Slot is kind of doing him a favour by giving him these cameo roles where he can make an instant impact. But I can't really recall too many games where Chiesa has started and you've left thinking, wow, that was a really good performance for him. It's always when he's been coming off the bench when we've been really impressed by him. So I think he is our new Divock Origi. And I think basically being the impact sub, that's as good as it's going to get for Federico Chiesa at Liverpool. Maybe 5 years ago, before he got all these injuries, when he was Italy's best player at the Euros that they won, he'd have had a chance of getting into that front three, possibly instead of Mane, who knows? But I think Chiesa's role in the team is just being the impact sub, which is a bit harsh because he does do well when he comes on, but you gotta manage his minutes because he has unfortunately had one or two big injuries in his career.
Yeah,
Yes,
but sorry to interrupt there, Craig, but
You okay, mate?
he has admitted that he didn't deserve to play last year due to the injuries. So he knows about that. He's humble enough to know that. But if Slot doesn't trust him, why then send Harvey Elliott on loan? If you
It
don't
doesn't
trust
take
them.
Harvey Elliott either.
No, but the point is, if you don't trust any of them,
Mm.
and
Well,
you kind of
the thing is, I know we talked. I'll save it till later on. But the thing is, with Federico Chiesa, just going back to what Jackson said there, because I'm a big Chiesa fan, and if you go back to the Euros, what Italy won at Wembley when they beat England, and I was so happy that night. It was the best bolognese I've had in my life. It was lovely. You know, when you look at him in that tournament, he run the show from start to finish for Italy, and he was worth 80 million. And then he got his ACL injury. And the thing is, if you watch, you probably like me. You all like me. If you watch the training videos from the actor, his attitude and his temperament is absolutely. If you could bottle that and say to a young lad, "This is your attitude and temperament to be a pro footballer. Drink that, and you'll be fine." I tell you what, be great. But he's such a nice fella. Being a nice fella doesn't get you selected for Liverpool's 11.
no,
You know, and the thing is, at the end of the day, that you can't. His attitude can't be questioned for me. And he's even Gattuso, the Italian manager's come out this week and said he's recommended to Chiesa if he gets the chance in January, he should leave. Otherwise, he's not going to play for Italy. So, but Chiesa said he wants to stay. He signed a 4-year contract. But end of the day, it's no good bench warming, is it?
No, my issue is when, like Ben said, he didn't want him. He kind of don't trust him. He doesn't see him as anything more than 5 minutes here and the League Cups we played 2 out of it. I mean, if he didn't want him, why didn't he do something about him instead of sending Harvey Elliott, who is potentially a better player in 3 years' time? I don't understand it. I don't get what he's. I mean, if you have these ingredients as a chef and you have to make it work, you do the best you can with what you have. I don't see how you can afford to. Well, I don't care about you, and I don't know. I don't like your car or whatever. I mean, for me, that's maybe I'm old-fashioned. I don't know, but
I think because of what the club went through in the summer and what the squad went through in the summer and the fan base as well with the loss of Diego Jota. If Diego Jota was still around and still at Liverpool, Federico Chiesa wouldn't be there now, because what Slot's first substitution would be Jota without a doubt. But when there's a game this season and Slot looked and he's not here, so his only other option was Chiesa, and he put Chiesa on, and he made a difference when he came on. That's the only reason I think Chiesa's still there, and it was a toss of a coin. It was either Chiesa goes or Harvey Elliott goes. He doesn't like either of them. I would be absolutely gobsmacked if Harvey Elliott comes back to Liverpool, because if he does, he's not going to kick a ball in anger for the first team unless we get a catastrophic injury.
what about you, Jackson? Do you think he just stayed because the other one passed away?
I think there is something to that for sure. Yeah, because Chiesa barely played last season, and yeah, going back to the point about whether it was either Chiesa or Harvey Elliott, I think the offers that would have come in for Harvey Elliott and Chiesa, the ones that came in for Elliott, would have been better. So you got to think from a financial standpoint as well, because it was an initial loan with an option to buy. So then next summer, in theory, there's a lot more money coming into Liverpool's bank account, although that's probably not going to happen now, given that it seems like Unai Emery hates Harvey Elliott even more than Arne Slot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think Craig's right there, where if Jota was still with us, then Chiesa might have been moved on if any good offers came in, because that's another thing you have to consider. Maybe nobody wanted Federico Chiesa, so if there are no good offers coming in from a business standpoint, you might as well keep your asset, and you never know, he might get better. Unfortunately, he has.
Okay, last word to you, Ben. Do you have anything to add to the Chiesa situation and ignoring of certain players?
Yeah, it's going to be Slat's ultimate downfall. It's as simple as that. You keep ignoring these players who are clearly good enough to help you and your team win games. You're going to keep losing. You're going to lose your job. It's that really. You can't, because your bad man management is just as bad as being bad tactically. You have to be a good man manager in the modern game. And Slat clearly isn't the best at handling situations like this. Like you said, you've got to use what you've got, and Slot clearly just doesn't know how to, or just refuses to.
Yeah, you a lot of less more words than I said. So well done there, Ben. We're going over to next topic for today. As I said earlier, also, if you like this content, please give us a like and subscription, and have on turned off notification for all future streams and videos. We're going a little bit to the Slot press conference today. And the first thing, one of the first things he said there was when it was questioned about Gehi and the centre back coming in to the team. He kind of said we have other positions that are slightly bigger problems at the moment. And I wonder, I'll start with you this time, Craig. What do you think he meant by that? Do you think he's meaning the position of Salah? Or do you think is there a position more critical than the centre back, in your opinion?
I think Arne Slot does what he always does in press conferences when he's asked about transfers. He just straight bats it. He's not giving anything away at all whatsoever. From what I've been reading this week, everything's more or less sorted with Mark Gay coming to Liverpool. And I think if you was to ask me who would I sign out of the two players we're linked with, I would say a centre-back's the most important one, but it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool went and spent 100 million in the summer on Mark Gay. And from what I can gather, from what I've been looking up tonight, things have already been agreed with Antonio Semenyo from Bournemouth. But on Semenyo, there's 3 or 4 clubs linked with him. We're one of them. City's another. Spurs are another. Arsenal won't buy him because they don't need him. But I've been looking at Semenyo today, and I think he suits Tottenham better than Liverpool. Because when you look who we've got on that left-hand side, if Semenyo comes in, then Federico Chiesa's leaving, that's for sure. But if you 35 million for Mark Gay, and then 60 million plus 5 million in add-ons for Semenyo, that's your 100 million. I think them's the 2 signings what will be coming in the January transfer window. But I think if you put a gun to me head now and said pick one, I'd sign a centre back first. But I wouldn't sign Mark Gay. I'd go and sign Slotterbeck from Dortmund. I think he's a better centre half for me. But centre backs, we're crying out for a centre half because we've only got Virgil, Canate, and Cinderella, and he keeps losing his glass slipper, Mr. Gomez. So, I think centre backs are an absolute must. We should have done it last transfer window, so it's got to be done in January. The question is, will Arne Slot pull the trigger? I don't know.
But do you think if Konate it's been reported that he's gotten a new contract offer, if he signs that one, do you think let me finish? If he signs that one, if he's gotten a new contract offer and he signs that one, do you think we will go for Sobamendo instead and wait with the centre back, or do you think we will get a centre back anyway?
No, I still think we'll still sign a centre back because Konate is not staying at Liverpool. If he was staying at Liverpool, he'd sign that contract by now. This is the fourth one they've offered him, and he's turned 3 down already. So why is the fourth one going to be any different?
Rio? No, I didn't say Cinderella. Or maybe Craig, if that's what you're thinking about. Yeah, he says Cinderella. All right, Jackson. What do you think Slot meant by positions that are slightly bigger problem, as he said? Do you think he thinks about right wing, left wing, or right back? But that, what do you think when he's? But like Craig said, he usually doesn't give away anything at press conference. But now he kind of said we have bigger issues somewhere else. What do you think? Would you sign a centre back, or do you kind of agree with Slot and sign someone else?
Well, as Arne Slot press conferences are not the most interesting from a viewing standpoint, so I think he knows that Liverpool need another centre back, and I think if Mark Gahey becomes available, Liverpool will try again. It's obvious that they are very interested in him. They were very close to signing him until Oliver Glasner threatened to leave Crystal Palace. I think we should look to see how Crystal Palace do in the Conference League. They've dropped some points in their group. I still think they'll go through, but Steve Parish, his ego was probably dented with Glasner basically giving him that ultimatum and not getting his money for Mark Gahey. So maybe Steve Parish might want to sort of get a bit of vengeance on Oliver Glasner and get some money in for Mark Gahey, because he'll probably feel he can play on Liverpool's desperation for a centre-back, because obviously they're leaking goals left, right and centre this season. So perhaps Mark Gahey will come in January, but that is more likely to be a summer move on a free. I think if we can get that deal done in January, absolutely do it. I think another area of concern, I've already touched on this, is defensive midfield. Ryan Gravenberch, he's great, but if we lose him, then we do have some problems. I don't think we necessarily have to make a signing in that area. I mean, as I've said a little earlier, Wataru Endo, clearly not rated by Slot. I don't particularly rate him either. But I would actually quite like to see Curtis Jones played in defensive midfield a little bit more. He wasn't great against Brentford. However, in the Community Shield against Crystal Palace, I thought he did play very well. And then he got taken off with about 20 minutes to go when the game was drifting into a 2-1 win for Liverpool. Endo came on. Straight away, Crystal Palace equalised, and then we were quite lucky to get to penalties. Because Curtis Jones, I think there is a talented player there. He's been in and around the team for the best part of 5 years. His attacking output is not good enough, but you look at what Arne Slot did with Ryan Gravenberch. He was a box-to-box midfielder, but then he became a defensive midfielder, and he was excellent last season. Why don't we try playing Curtis Jones there every so often? And when we rest Gravenberch, I think that would be a really interesting project to try and back Arne Slot to be able to coach that into Curtis Jones personally.
All right, Ben, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with our colleagues here that centre back is a first priority, or what do you think Slot thought about when he said we have bigger issues somewhere else?
Couldn't tell you what he was thinking about though, because I don't know what personnel issues he sees that are bigger than centre back. There's no limit in the team. We have less players than centre back. We have 3 available. 1 of them and 2 of them aren't reliable fitness wise. So if you're going to say we don't need a centre back, then you're either delusional or very stupid, because it's our biggest issue by quite a long shot.
Yeah, and I thought he maybe kind of thought a little bit about the right wing, but he's kind of painted himself in the corner there as well, because he said as long as Salah's here, he's starting. So that he couldn't have thought about that as an issue, because
if the right wing was an issue, then we'd assume there's a problem with Chiesa, and again because of fitness. Then again, he's never going to play Chiesa, even if Chiesa was the only player we had. So
exactly. So I really don't understand what he was kind of referring to, and that was kind of why I kind of wanted to bring it up, because usually it says, well, I don't have anything news, we're looking at this, blah 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 blah, and now suddenly he kind of gave a little hint of what he thought about, and that's kind of what surprised me. But enough about Slot. The next topic now is the Robbo interview after the internationals. And we've touched about this subject many times on this platform and this group. And the thing is, what kind of got my wheels a bit turning is, here is a player who's knows it's his last chance of maybe getting to the World Cup. He hasn't been there. Scotland hasn't been there since 1998, almost 30 years. And the only thing he thought about almost that day was Jota.
Yeah.
And the first thing he's talked about after getting there was Jota.
Yeah.
And that got me kind of thinking, how much does this really impact the guys into day-to-day's life? Because this was a situation that he and Jota had talked about, and that kind of triggered it. But if that triggered it, what gets triggered when you go into work? You see his parking space, you see the empty locker, the rituals or routines you had at training or whatever. I mean, we'll start with you, Ben, on this one. Slot said it. I didn't leave him out all that one, but Slot mentioned he wouldn't use it as an excuse, and I agree with him. But there may be a big issue here that we really haven't caught the grasp of. And like Jackson said earlier, one thing is the guys who knew him. Another part is the guys coming in and kind of, stepped right into a
minefield.
Yeah, a minefield, a grieving group. It's not easy to, hey, woohoo. What do you think about this, Ben?
Yeah, I said that when we were signing all these new players, is the hardest test they're going to have as a new Liverpool player isn't going to be showing themselves to be great players. It's going to be showing themselves to be great people, because you're coming into a change room, mourning a big loss. You're going to have to be kind of a wall and a shoulder for these players to let their emotions out, because that's just going to be very emotional in the AXA every day. You see that empty locker, Joe, because he's not there anymore, actually. And the people, and those like Robbo said, he only thought about it in the build-up to his game. It just shows how much it really is impacting these players, and why it's naive to say it's an excuse, or it's not fair to say it. It is very fair, and it's very relevant, because grief isn't linear. You don't just move on from something like this. And like you said, it was the biggest moment in 3 decades, and all he was thinking about was Jota. So it's just further proof that you can't underestimate how big of an impact this has. It'll impact Liverpool forever, now and in the future.
Yeah, and I'll save you for the last, Craig, because I know you have a lot to say about this, so I'm going to let Jackson go first. I mean, we have talked about it, and you're sort of new here, Jackson, on this topic, but we all have a day job, but we don't perform like professional footballers do. I mean, one thing is I work with computers. I can be sad and work with computers. It's difficult to be good at a performing profession when you're daily reminded of this. They see the flowers outside, they hear the song every game, and even like Ben and I said, when you're achieving something for the first time in your kind of lifetime as a professional footballer, and the only thing you think about is your brother or your friend. I mean, is the impact bigger than or at least I thought about it would be?
Yeah, well, we all do normal jobs, and if, say, you have experienced the loss of a loved one, you can take compassionate leave. Now, I'm sure the players at the time of the incident of Diogo Jota did take some time off, but demands of the Premier League mean you can't really have enough time off because the game's just it's relentless. It comes thick and fast. There's no real time to address the mental issues that come as a result of experiencing such a huge loss like that. Now, I know there's a lot more player care out there than there was 10, 20 years ago, but that will undoubtedly be a massive thing in the squad, as mentioned, players that knew him well, players coming in, because they can't come in arriving at a club like they would normally. I think we did see hints of the squad being affected by loss. Affected by loss during the season when we were last retaining the Premier League title.
Your sound is kind of on and off now. You're falling out a bit, at least for me now.
Okay, how is it to the rest of you?
It's fine for me.
Oh, right, okay.
This is just me then. I'm getting old. Carry on.
Okay, yeah. So we did see hints of the playing squad experiencing loss when Jurgen Klopp's mum passed away during the season. Similar time, Alisson's dad passed away in really such tragic circumstances, and there were other factors at play, sure, but Liverpool's form on the pitch was affected by that. So I think it's no real shock that this season has produced a lot of bad results because of what happened to Diogo Jota. It is very relevant, and that interview Andy Robertson gave after Scotland qualified for the World Cup, it really got to you, didn't it? Because at that time emotions are running high, yet that's at the forefront of his mind, not that he's made history for his country.
Yeah, and like you said there, Jackson, I mean, we have had tragedies before, like you said, with Alisson's dad and the kidnapping of Diaz's parents and everything, but that's something different, because you have to support one person who's grieving. Now everybody's grieving because it happened at everybody's front door. One thing is being compassionate and supportive, and one thing is being a collective and not knowing how to process it. Final word on that one, Craig. What do you think about it? Do you think we've talked a lot about it. You've taken it up several times, but have we kind of underestimated the impact? Because it's been a couple of months now, and it's still the first thing in his head. Yeah,
I think I'll be absolutely honest with you here. I think he's been severely underestimated. Severely, and the thing what doesn't make me angry, but it's frustrating me. I watched, obviously, Andy Robertson played over 100 minutes for Scotland, and then he gave that interview. But when I watched that interview, he looked like a broken man. He was absolutely broken. You could see the pain in his face. No,
he almost cried.
Yeah, no, I was filling up listening to him. I'll be honest with you. I'm not ashamed to admit it. And the thing is, I hope for Andy Robertson's sake that that's part of his healing process, and he can move forward, and it helps the squad now. But the thing is, it's taken Sky Sports 3 months to actually, for the penny to drop that, hang on a minute, this is actually affecting an entire squad in a football club here, because let's be real here. We've all got families, we've all lost loved ones, right? And the thing is, they're professional footballers and they live in a bubble. When they come out of that bubble, we don't know how they're going to respond. And the thing is, before we came on stream tonight, I watched, and I'm going to give them a shout out here, because for the first time, somebody else has come out and said what I've been saying for 2 months, right? And I don't normally call out other fan channels, but I am here tonight because I've even sent them a message on YouTube congratulating them. The Anfield Wrap have done a preview on the game for tomorrow. And one of the guys said, I'm going to be controversial first, but then I'm going to get back on topic. And right, he said, but now, he said, I honestly think that we should stop singing the Jota song on 20 minutes because it's affecting the team's performances. And he said, because I stand on the cop, and he said, you look at people, some are singing it and some don't know what to do now. Right. My answer to that is sing it at full time. There's nothing wrong singing it, but you're reminding 11 guys on there that what they're going through while they're trying to do the job. I'm sorry, but you can't do that. And the thing is, everybody grieves differently. They all deal with it in a different way. And Andy Robertson showed it live on TV on Wednesday night. I mean, to play for your country, for Scotland, in the biggest... I mean, that game will be remembered for decades and decades. But to only have one person on your mat... You know what really hit me there? When he said to the interview, to Kelly Cates, when he said to her, I've been thinking about it all day, but I've kept it from the squad and the management. I've not said anything. That took bottle, that I tell you what, that shows what a strong mentality he's got. To hide that from the entire squad and his manager, Steve Clarke, I mean, no wonder he was in bits afterwards. But I think, hopefully now people will realise that, yeah, it's not an excuse. We're not playing well, but we've lost a family member. They've lost a friend. A mother and a father have lost 2 sons. His wife's lost an husband and a dad. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you now. All 3 of you. I've never said this to you before. I know Ben's a lot younger than me. I'm getting a bit emotional now as I say this. The only thing what scares me, and I've been through a lot in my life, and I'm ready for my 50th operation. The only thing what scares me in my life now is that the fact that one day my missus and my daughter will never hear my voice again, and my best mate. And I've told him to his face. So the first thing I do when I get up in the morning, I message him, good morning, bro, how you doing? It's the first thing I do, because I know one day that's going to stop. So I think, okay, well, how are they going to react to that? I can't answer that because I won't be here. So I can understand how Andy Robertson's feeling and the squad, but I just hope they move forward now and basically they get back to doing what they're good at. But I tell you what, mate, I'll be honest with you, this is not going away. This is not going away for a long, long time. And I just think the Liverpool fans now need to show a bit of respect to the squad and don't sing it on 20 minutes. That's, for me. Let's get 3 points. Let's get them over the line, and everybody who's doubting them now, saying they're done, they've lost 5 games. We've got a point to prove now, but we're not going to prove a point if we keep reminding them of what's happened.
No, but I'm not going to. I'm going to have a statement, and before we go to the predictions and everything, I'm going to have one statement, and I want to hear if you kind of agree or disagree, or I'm stupid or whatever. I'll start with you, Jackson. Answer me this. You think this would have been handled or processed better if Klopp was here and not Slot?
I mean, it's impossible to say. There's no instruction manual on how to deal with something like this. Arne Slot is a young manager of sorts. He is kind of experienced, but he is still kind of young in his managerial journey. If you like, Jurgen Klopp has not had to deal with that specific incident. You really don't know. I can't really think of an example where a player has passed away and you think, oh, the manager got that spot on. But equally, I can't think of anything that the managers have done wrong. I don't think Arne Slot has done anything particularly wrong.
No. I'm not.
This process. And I wasn't suggesting you were saying that either. Yeah, I think it's impossible to answer that question. You can't say how well someone's going to deal with it until you are confronted with that situation.
Okay. The reason why I asked it is because little Stevie Ben here said his man management is a little bit poorer than, for instance, Klopp. So Ben, what do you think about what I just said? Do you think? I mean, because Klopp was a more hard on the sleeve kind of guy. He more hugging, more caring. I'm not saying Slot isn't that, but he was another form of caring, and he had sort of experience when it comes to the Luis Diaz situation and Ali losing his father. You think would have been done differently, or maybe a little bit better because he was he and not Slot?
No, I don't. Like Jackson said, you don't know how someone will handle until they're actually confronted with the problem. Now, since I don't think you can actually say if it would have been handled any better, because you don't know. Because I mean, what do you do as a manager in that situation? Because it's so difficult. But I'd have to say there'd be like, I can't really answer this question. It's the first time I don't have an proper answer.
Okay. Well, Craig, I've been struck out twice already. So, yeah, okay. What is your answer? Is it 3 strikes and I'm out? Or?
No, I think Arne Slot, to his credit, I think he's walked into every manager's nightmare here. Every manager would have dealt with it in their own way, but to go to your job on a daily basis and basically have to look after 25 guys plus or a few less and make sure that they're all of sound mind and that they're getting, and obviously the club will help as well, that they're getting counselling, because I'm sure Arne Slot's needed it as well. The only thing difference I think you would have seen with Jurgen is Jurgen would have shown his emotions a lot more than what Arne Slot does, because he's such a poker face. You don't know what he's thinking or feeling. He doesn't give anything away, and maybe that's the Dutch thing. But I think Jurgen, because he was such a people person, and I've met him personally, and I tell you what, I've never met an individual like him. He's the most amazing man I've met in my life. And he is a people person. So what he would have done is he would have put an invisible cloak around everybody there and protected them all. And he would have shielded them from the media and all this, what's going on. So I think in a way, the lads would have come out of it a little, they would have responded a little bit quicker, and they would have gone, you know, something, this is okay. Jurgen's got our back here. Let's repay his faith and let's go and do what we're getting paid to do. I'm not saying they're not doing that for Arne Slot, but I just think Jurgen had the magic touch. He had that little bit of stardust, what is probably only Pep Guardiola got, to be fair. I think that's the only way I could sum it up. But I
think, and as I said, I'm not slagging Slot at all, but I think that human touch, that vulnerability, that way of showing feelings and showing that you're human, I think they would have seen a lot of comfort and help in that.
I just
Every
hope
man-
we never see anything like this again. In my
No,
well,
I agree.
every manager pales in comparison as a father figure kind of guy. Jurgen Klopp is the ultimate, like, the grandpa of football, as you would say.
he's the
Yeah,
best
Everyone-
one, isn't he?
and that's and I think that kind of figure could be a bigger benefit than not. I mean, I mean, feelings and emotions is allowed to show in crisis, and that's what kind of why I asked the question.
It's a
But
fair question.
we're done with the history. We're done with the past. We are now finished with another international break, and now it is time for us to hit the ground running. We do not, and I cannot say this and stress this enough, we cannot lose any more points if this season is about to be salvaged. That's my opinion. And I can be struck down 3 times again by my people here if they think I'm talking gibberish. But I think, we have a more favorable program or fixture list now than we had before the international break. And we must win. This is a must win for me. I don't care about performance. I don't care about anything. We need 3 points. So I'm going to start top right for me. Jackson, put on your headphones. What is your 11 players who's going to start tomorrow, who's going to give us the win, good performance, and everybody's going to be happy all day long?
Yeah, so could you actually come back to me? I need to plug in my laptop. I'll be back in a few seconds, and then I'll tell the lineup.
All right,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Well done,
Sorry.
Freddie. Well done.
all right. Ben, you're up. What's your 11 players tomorrow who's going to give us the points, good performance, everything is good? Who's going to be your 11 tomorrow?
That's Maladashvili, Ramsey, Kanate, Van Dijk, Robbo, Grav, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Salah, Ekitike.
You think Robbo's going to play tomorrow?
Yes. Oh wait,
Why?
no,
No.
Robbo. He's been getting hammered for the last few days, hasn't he? So
Yeah,
Kirk
hammered
has,
and crying.
yeah, both mixed emotions. Yeah, so
So-
Kirk has instead of Robbo for tomorrow because
Yeah.
obviously obvious reasons.
And what do you think the score will be?
What I think it'll be and what it will be, honestly, two different things. I think it'll be 2-1 Liverpool. Hopefully. Can only
Okay,
hope.
2-1 Liverpool. Well, then it's Jackson Cole with his laptop.
Yeah, all plugged in now.
What,
Yeah.
what are your 11 wonderful starting players for the game tomorrow?
Yeah, so tomorrow I'm having Alisson back in goal, providing he's definitely in 100% tip-top shape. Right back, obviously, we've got problems there with Bradley and Frimpong being injured, so going to have to play Dominic Szoboszlai. I know Calvin Ramsey was mentioned, but I think he was signed by Klopp, but I'm not sure even Klopp particularly rated him. He never really got a chance then, so going to have to be Dominic Szoboszlai. Centre-back, I think Ibrahim Konate has to come out of the team. He's been that bad. I'm not saying he can't come back in, but I think I'm playing Cinderella, Joe Gomez. I know with him, like I've said with Chiesa, you've got to manage Joe Gomez's minutes, but surely he can do the odd 90 minutes here and there. So Joe Gomez, I'm starting alongside Virgil van Dijk, of course. Left back, I'm still going to play Andy Robertson. I think he has restored just a bit of order down that side. Maybe play Milos Kerkez in the Champions League midweek next week. And as for midfield, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, and Curtis Jones, because we've got the shortage in midfield with shortage of defence, which means Szoboszlai is going to have to go over to right back. Florian Wirtz is injured, of course. And then my front three, Mohamed Salah, Hugo Ekitike, and Cody Gakpo. But one thing I want to see on Saturday, I want to see Alexander Isak given minutes, give him half an hour. We're at the point now where I know he did sustain a knock shortly before the international break, but we're at this point where there's no excuses now. He didn't have a preseason, but he's had the time to have his late preseason, and we've spent all this money on him. We need to start seeing him not necessarily scoring all the time, but we need to see him positively contributing towards Liverpool's matches this season.
All right, Craig, put your notebook up. What's your starting 11 for? Sorry, before we go to you, Craig.
Yeah.
Jackson, results.
Oh yes, yeah, results. Well, despite everything that's gone on this season, I am expecting a Liverpool win. I don't care how they do it, as long as they get 3 points. If it's 1-0 in the 90th minute, fine, let's deal with that. And we are in a very important period of the season. I'm counting 11 games until we face Arsenal on January the 8th. 9 of those games are in the league. So 27 points up for grabs. I think the way the season's gone, it's unrealistic to expect us to win all of those games, and especially during a period where the games come thick and fast. But I want around 21 points. I think the most difficult game in that run is Tottenham away. That is a banana skin. They can be good on their day, Tottenham Hotspur, but I think we need to get 21 points at least, and we have to be back in the top 4 by the time we go to the Emirates Stadium on January the 8th. And to be honest, we'll probably lose that because I think Arsenal are going to win the league this season.
Okay, now just talking rubbish. But you meant to a lot of the other ones. I'm sorry. Great. You're starting 11 and score predictions.
Well, my starting 11. Well, he's trained today, so if everything's gone according to plan, then obviously Alisson Becker goes back in goal, because when you're the best in the world, you've got to start. And then going in at right back, I'm going to play Curtis Jones at right back, because the thing is, he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'll give him credit where it's due. He's maturing now. He's growing up, and he's doing what's asked of him. So if he's put in at right back for me, he'll do a job, and he won't let Ernest lock down. Centre half, I've got the Rolls Royce, which doesn't need an oil change yet, Virgil van Dijk. And then I'm sticking with the French croissant, Mr. Canate. He's playing like a baguette at the minute, but the least said about that, the better. Because I can't put Cinderella in. He's just made of glass. I can't play him. Debbie Harry like Joe Gomez, that's for sure. Anyway, and then midfield, I've got Dominic Szoboszlai. I've got...
Who was on left back? Left back.
My left back, I'm playing Andy Robertson for 60 minutes, and then give Kirkes half an hour. And then my midfield, I've got Dominic Szoboszlai, I've got Alexis McAllister, and I've got Cody Gakpo on the left. And then up front, I've got Mo Salah, I've got Hugo Boss, and then I'm going to play young Rio Ngamoa up front. I'm going to give baby Jesus a run out. I think he deserves it, and I think he'll terrify the Ginger Mourinho to death. But I know what Nottingham Forest are going to do. I know what Sean Dyche is going to do, and how he'll set up long throws, long balls, and all this business. But I'm going for a confident 2-0 win and a clean sheet with Becker back in goal. Just going back to what Jackson's just rhymed off there, the 12 days of Christmas with all the fixture lists. We've got 27 games left. We can only afford to lose one if we're going to retain the league. So that's not going to happen. The only 2 teams that won't beat Liverpool, and they're going down for me this year, and I predicted it in pre-season, is West Ham and Wolverhampton Wanderers. They're the only 2 teams we won't lose to. Every other team is capable of beating us. So I think if we do what Jackson says, and come the 8th of January, we're within touching distance of Arsenal, because Arsenal will do what they always do, bottle it, because I'm going to go against the grain here, Jackson, with you, mate. I think the biggest threat to Arsenal are Manchester City, because they're making things look very, very easy now. And I think, if I'm not a betting man, but I think City will win the league.
Ben,
Okay.
what was your right back? I don't remember.
My right back.
Yeah.
Ramsey.
Stephen Garrett.
Yeah. All right. Okay. That's the first time I think we disagreed or have predictions so spread out. My prediction when it comes to starting lineup is I want to have Mama in goal, and the reason I want him in goal is because he's match fit. He's played a lot of games. He's gotten into the rhythm now, and I would rather Ali comes in at the PSV game and then takes over this place. But I don't want to change that as well now. I know he's going to play Ali, but I would like to see him for just a half of consistency. I mean, that is my thought about it. As much consistency as possible, and it hasn't played poorly, so I would like to see him and give him a shot. But Ali, I understand that as well. But yeah, I would like that. I have another option for right back, and that is our new guy Cinderella. I would like Joe Gomez to start there. I mean, we know we get 20 minutes out of him every game at best, but why not start him? I think I would like to see Gomez on right back, and it's the French croissant in Konate because we don't have anyone else, and of course Big V Virgil van Dijk. And I think on the left back, I think we're going to have Turkish just because, Robbo had his reaction to everything, as we saw in the interview. And yeah, I think he's kind of had an energy outlet and needs a couple of days to get back. In the midfield, I think we're going to have the dynamic trio in Gravenberg, Szoboszlai, and McAllister. I think they will play. Since we do have injuries with Wirtz, I think we'll have Gakpo on the left, and Salah on the right. But I think and I hope we start Isaac, because Konate's played a lot of minutes during the international break. Isaac should have played the last game, but the Swedish coaches were made aware that he was on a pending yellow, so they didn't want to risk him for the first game in the playoffs. That's why he didn't play. So I think I would like to see him start and have a hungry Hugo coming in at the end there instead of the other way around. I think that would suit us better. If we need speed and mobility, I think it's better to have Hugo in the last 20 minutes and instead of Isaac. And I would like to see him play. And like Jackson said, he needs to start showing up, and he can't do that from the bench. So I would like to see him start. That's my starting 11. I don't do score predictions, as many of you know, and now Jackson knows. I don't do it because it always goes to hell. So one thing is losing and one thing is having your hopes up. So I don't do it, but I always hope we do win. And I think tomorrow is the day. We can't fuck about anymore. It has to start now. If anything is going to be salvaged from this season. I don't think we're going to win the league anymore. Defending the league is hardly ever done anyway, and defending it under these circumstances, I think, is borderline impossible. So top 4, and it has to start tomorrow. And if I'm wrong, I'm excellent. I can live with that when May comes. Yep. I want to thank everybody here on the stream, Jackson, Craig, and Ben, for joining me today. I hope everybody has a good evening. the world, and looking forward to the game tomorrow. I hope we have a good game and 3 points stays at Liverpool. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for joining me, guys, and have a good evening.